Your college admissions essay should give the college admissions counselor a window into your world, into your interests, into your passions, into the issues that matter to you, into the kinds of experiences you have had in your life that have really made an impact on you and have shaped you as a person. Now, you may be saying, I don't really have any unique or exciting experiences that I can write about. My life seems pretty ordinary. I haven't been across the world. I'm not someone who has gone to another country to build houses in poor communities, or I'm not someone who has been out ministering to refugees in other countries. You don't need that. That's not a requirement for this essay. And you certainly shouldn't feel like you need to invent something just to write a really good admissions essay. And I think a really good example of that is this piece by Adrienne Tharp, who lives in Adamsville, Alabama. And Adrienne's essay is about the time that she spent working at Domino's. Now, I know that when you hear the word Domino's, you're not getting all excited and jumping for joy, right? None of us are really clamoring for an internship working at Domino's. But what Adrienne did was took that very ordinary, sort of mundane experience and turn it into something really thoughtful and purposeful. In her essay, she writes, "My favorite thing about working at Domino's was interacting with the assortment of people that pizza unified. I felt so anonymous in uniform, confident enough to answer phones and talk to strangers. Iyad, our pizza chef from Pakistan, resembled Bob Dylan and sang folk songs from his homeland when business was smooth. One of the other insiders played guitar, managed a costume shop, and once welded a statue for Marvel Enterprises in New York. Teenagers came in, grass-stained and sweaty, immediately after soccer practice. Men in flannel with babies in their arms and 2 kids trailing behind them allowed their children to choose what to order. Elderly women in floppy sun hats and fake pearls would call before Bible school and ask for 20 large cheese pizzas to satisfy everyone." I really like this paragraph. I think it adds a lot to Adrienne's essay, and it helps to make this really effective for the reader because she uses all of these really great details and really rich images to create this cross-section of her community in Adamsville, Alabama. And I think what's nice about that is it helps to dispel any of the stereotypes or the misconceptions we might have about Adamsville. I know that when some people think, okay, she's from Alabama, that might be, when some people think, so she's from Alabama, they may have some stereotypes about what life might have been like. But in Adrienne's paragraph, she gives us this window into her world. So we know that Adamsville is a much more interesting, much more diverse place than might just come across initially on paper. So if I was going to write about what makes this paragraph so effective, I would talk about how she portrays her community through really rich, interesting details and imagery. Here's another paragraph in her essay. Adrienne says, "The people who came in were far from homogeneous, as diverse as the pizzas they ordered. Caucasian, Asian, African American, and Mexican lawyers, firemen, construction workers, stay-at-home mothers, house painters. Many were married, some were divorced, and some were single. Many had kids, many were still kids. I couldn't help but admire them. They made enduring irate customers, drunken phone calls, and crying children worth minimum wage. All were just ordinary people trying to build lives in America. All were united and equivalent when in need of pizza." If I was going to write about this paragraph, I might talk about how Adrienne connects all of these things through pizza, which I think is sort of fun and funny and lighthearted. She didn't have to pick a really serious subject. She didn't have to pick a really unique experience in order to make that interesting and engaging for her readers. She also does that same strategy here where she lists all of these great details about the people who come into Domino's. Some were married, some were divorced, some were single. And again, it sort of creates this portrait of Adamsville where we get to see the sort of range of people who live there. So if I was going to write my paragraph on what makes this essay effective, I would think about the really interesting details she used. I would think about the sense of humor in making these great conclusions just from something simple like pizza. And I would write about how she uses a very ordinary, mundane experience, like having a minimum wage job, to show that she's thoughtful and she's purposeful and that she is reflective about her experiences. So remember, she didn't need a really exciting, unique adventure to write a solid, effective college essay. She just needed to write about an experience that was important to her, that taught her something that was valuable and meaningful in her life.